And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, today we're taking a look at Magic the Gathering duel decks. This is Blessed vs. Cursed. Now I'm assuming if you're watching this that you know a little bit about how to play Magic the Gathering. If you don't, this set actually comes with rules, but I'm not going to get into that. I'm just going to talk about these particular decks. Now you need to understand where I'm coming from Magic the Gathering. I've played Magic the Gathering for many years, but I usually just play starter decks against each other. I've done some deck building. I prefer Commander, actually. It's my favorite way to play the game. But I like these dual decks. These give you two decks. I don't need to worry about building them. I just play one deck versus the other. This is essentially good versus evil, nice guys against really bad guys, humans and angels versus zombies. These decks are pretty much built to play each other, although I guess you could play other decks with them. And so you might like to do that. You might look at this as, like I do, like just buying a two-player card game. And so there are many dual decks out there. How does this one rank? Well, before I get to that, let me show you a little bit about what's in each of the decks. The decks are black and blue and white and blue. Each deck comes with 4 extra cards. Lands. This one here, they're pretty much the exact same. A white/blue, they come into play tapped, and when they enter the battlefield, you gain 1 life. So they're pretty much equal in that way, and that's pretty much the only way that they're equal. Let's take a look at the different decks. We'll start here with the white/blue deck. And it comes with the cool foil, ultra rare, though I never really understand how a card's ultra rare when it comes in starter decks, but whatever. This one here, he's hexproof, can't be the targets of spells. But I like this guy here because when he attacks, he puts a 4/4 flying angel into play, which is great, super powerful. For a 1/1/1, that's a pretty good price for him too. The problem is while that guy comes into play every time he attacks, this guy is more easily destroyed. Now he's hexproof, but that doesn't stop you from just beating him. There's also putting human tokens into play. Unfortunately, this set comes with at least 5 human token cards, but here you can put 5 of them into play, and you can flashback it and play it into play. You can even get 10 if somehow you cast it from the graveyard. There's another one here that lets you put 2 into play, and if you have 5 or less, put 5 human tokens into play. So this deck is going to have somewhat of an emphasis on humans, but the main thing about this deck is that you can exile any number of target creatures, put them back in hand. This lets you exile a target creature, then put it back in the battlefield under your control. This guy here can exile a creature and put him back. Well, why would you ever want to use these cards? That's because most of the cards in this deck have abilities that when they enter the battlefield, things happen. For example, when this guy comes in the battlefield, you draw a card. When this guy comes in the battlefield, you return a target creature to own its hand. You'll notice, by the way, these are all flying too. When this guy enters the battlefield, you look at the top 2 cards. Put one in your hand, the other in the graveyard. When this guy comes, you get 2 life for every other creature you control. This guy, you return a permanent you control to its owner's hand. So he can basically let you play another card and get the ability again. Here you put a human token on the battlefield. Here you can destroy any vampire, werewolf, or zombie. And considering your opponent's deck is made up almost completely of zombies, that's pretty handy. This guy, when he comes in the battlefield, you tap a target creature an opponent controls. This guy also has Delirium, which is more shown up in the black-blue deck. When there's 4 different card types in your graveyard, then this guy has a special effect, and here you can tap a target creature that a player controls. This guy, when he enters the battlefield, untaps all creatures. You can use him to attack twice in a turn, or at least attack and then defend. Gain 3 life when he comes in the battlefield. When he comes in the battlefield, exile another target creature. Then when he leaves the battlefield, that creature comes back to the battlefield. So again, you can almost make some loops here. When this land comes on the battlefield, you get a life. Whenever an angel comes in, you get another life. And there's several angels in the deck. Here, whenever another human enters the battlefield, you get a +1/+1 counter on the champion of the parish. So this guy does better when other humans come back on. Or this captain of the mist here, when a human enters the battlefield, you untap him. So that's basically the main focus of this deck. Like flying is also a focus. You can see that coming on here. But there's some other cards here. Some of these cards, just different things here. An enchanted creature gets a +2/+2 as long as it's a human. Most of the people in the deck are humans or angels, so you're fine there. You can give someone first strike. There's Soulbound, where you can pair somebody with somebody else, and then they both get a special ability. There's 2 here with Soulbound. This guy can gain first strike. Here's a Spirit who has flying. Here you can just destroy a target attacking creature, so get rid of something from your opponent's deck. Draw 3 cards, flying. This is actually one of my favorite cards. I like this one. It's a simple card. It's just a 1/1 human soldier creature, but when it dies, it becomes a 1/1 Spirit token that shows up that has flying, which is pretty good for the cost of simply 1 white. So that's what's in the white-blue deck. Now let's take a look at the black-blue deck. So here we have the main card here, which is a demon creature who has flying and trample. This guy's a big bully guy, and he also has that delirium, but this delirium is almost a negative thing. This guy's pretty cheap for a flying 4/5 creature. However, you're going to lose 4 life unless you have 4 different types in your graveyard. Considering how easy it is to get cards in your graveyard, probably shouldn't be a problem, but you never know. This deck has cobbled together creatures. Here, when this guy comes into battle, you can target a creature. He also has delirium too, but it has these cobbled together creatures. For example, this guy is flying. Pretty cheap, but he can only block creatures that have flying. This guy here is pretty powerful, 4/5, but you also have to exile a creature from your graveyard. This one, you have same thing. You have to exile a creature from your graveyard, but he's a 3/4 flying creature. And this one here is a pretty strong 4/4, but you have to exile a creature from your graveyard. So you need to get cards in your graveyard. However, this guy lets you put some in your graveyard. Then, speaking of the graveyard, the black-blue deck is all about bringing creatures back from the dead. So when this guy dies, you can bring someone who has a converted cost of 2 or less back. This one lets you just bring any creature back from the graveyard. This one is Undying. It comes back with a +1/+1 counter on it. Of course, when it dies, then it's gone. When this guy comes in, he can bring back another zombie. There are cards that let you put zombie tokens on the board, which again come with this set. And there's ways to get zombies. You know, there's not as many put zombies on the board as there is humans, but zombies are 2/2. Humans are only 1. Here you can exile somebody to put a zombie creature on the board, and then a +1/+1 counter on every zombie you have. There's lots of different types of zombies. This is a pretty cheap zombie, but he comes in tapped. This guy can't block, but you can cast him from your graveyard as long as you control one other zombie. So this guy just keeps coming back and back and back again. Here's another way to put cards into the graveyard. This guy has Death Touch. Here you can exile target creature and all other creatures with the same name. I think I'm going to go Human Soldier. You can give somebody flying. You can destroy a human, or you can destroy a target non-vampire, non-werewolf, non-zombie creature. Again, these cards work really well against the specific deck that you are playing here. And then you have some other stuff here. I like this one here. Unbreathing Horde comes with a +1/+1 for each other zombie you control, and for each zombie card in your graveyard. So this is a 0/0, but can be extremely powerful, and you can remove 1/1 tokens from it to prevent damage. This very nasty card, and by the way, the artwork in this one is pretty disturbing. He has First Strike. Here you can make people sacrifice creatures. You can make an opponent sacrifice a creature, and you get life equal to their toughness. So this is all about death and dying. Of course, it's black, but the blue cards certainly enhance that. So there you have it. Now, one thing I want to make clear on this is I think these decks, more than almost any of the other duel decks I've seen, are specifically built against each other. They might work against other things, and I haven't actually tried them against other decks, but they're really built. I mean, this one talks about killing zombies, and this one talks about killing humans. Yeah, they're made to fight each other. If you are playing with people, I would highly recommend, if one person's more experienced than the other, to give them the white-blue deck over the black-blue. The black-blue deck is very simple. Keep those zombies out, bring back undead. The white deck is a little trickier because you are essentially removing cards from the game, then putting them back. And when I first played this, I wasn't so keen on it, and I'm still not 100% on the white-blue deck because the white-blue deck is a really touch-and-go deck. Magic the Gathering always has that thing where when you draw cards randomly, sometimes it doesn't work out. But the white-blue deck, I saw the black deck smashes it. if you get bad card draws with the white-blue deck, because you need to get the cards that you can play and then exile them and play them again. And if you get just one of those, like the cards that let you exile cards, but then you don't have the ones that give you the effects, those are kind of worthless. And if you have the cards with effects without those ones that let you bring them in or back, it's okay, but not as good. You can still do really well without that mixing up just by putting swarms of human soldiers out there. But the black deck starts pretty strong. They got these zombies that come back. And I've seen the white-blue deck beat the black-blue deck, and it's very possible. I think they're fairly balanced. I just think that the white-blue deck is more fragile than the other one. And so I would say that from a beginner, if someone's coming into Magic for the first time, I don't know that I would recommend this particular set of dual decks as well as some of the ones in the past, because there's a few more advanced concepts in here. It's still not that complex, but I think the black deck is easier just because it's, hey, I'm bringing people back from the dead, and oh, you killed it? Well, here it comes again. That concept's pretty easy, while the white one taking cards out of the game, but then they come right back in the game. It's a little bit more terminology, and like I said, a little bit more dependent on hopefully you get the right cards in your hand. Still, they do work really well against each other, and I do enjoy playing this. This is a fun two-player style game, and on multiple plays shows just how balanced they are. I was ready to write it off after my first couple plays, but playing it some more, I feel like it is much more balanced, just that this one is the white-blue just is a little easier for you to go, everything's falling apart. But at the same time, then just the more glorious victory when you do win. So that's Blessed vs. Cursed. I think I kind of like the Cursed deck a little better personal play style-wise, but it is pretty fun. Check it out.
Dice Tower Judgment, approved for experienced players.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Shut the door.